The galaxy had a long memory. For 10,000 cycles, the galactic conclave had ruled the known stars. Hundreds of species sat beneath its floating rings of light, each believing they understood power, intelligence, and war. And all of them agreed on one thing. Humans were nothing special. They came from a small yellow star on the fringe of explored space. Their ships were ugly. Their technology was inefficient. Their biology was fragile. No claws, no scales, no psychic minds. The conclave classified humanity as Tier 4, innovative but non-threatening. The chamber buzzed with quiet laughter as the hologram rotated. A single human ship drifted at the edge of disputed space. Designation, HSS Resolute. Mass, laughably small. Crew, 312 humans. Weapons, unknown but assumed inferior. High Strategist Veiltroen of the Karth Dominion flicked his 4 eyes in boredom. One ship, he hissed. They send one ship to contest conclave authority? Admiral Zell of the Avar Collective let out a clicking laugh. Perhaps they wished to negotiate surrender early. The human ambassador stood alone on the floor below them. Commander Elias Rowe. No armor. No escorts. Just a dark uniform and calm eyes. Rowe looked up at the towering aliens and spoke evenly. The Resolute requests safe passage through the Helios Corridor. A murmur rippled through the chamber. The Helios Corridor was sacred neutral space. It was also rich in energy veins. The conclave had denied access to everyone for centuries. Veiltroen leaned forward. You are denied, he said, and warned. Withdraw your ship or face enforcement. Rowe nodded slowly. Understood, he replied. No threats. No pleading. Just calm acceptance. As the human turned to leave, Admiral Zell added mockingly, You should know, Commander. Our patrol fleet is already moving. 6 cruisers. 2 dread carriers. Rowe paused. Then he smiled. Thank you for the information. The chamber erupted in laughter. They did not see the subtle flicker in the human's eyes. In deep space, the Resolute waited silently. Captain Mira Chen stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. They took the bait, she said softly. Her tactical officer grinned. Fleet movement confirmed. Predictable formations. Overconfident. Chen nodded. Just like we hoped. The ship powered down its visible systems. To alien sensors, it looked dead. To human systems, it was awake in ways the galaxy had never imagined. The conclave fleet arrived hours later. 6 massive cruisers formed a firing arc. Energy cannons glowed. Human vessel, Veiltroen broadcast, you have violated conclave space. Power down or be destroyed. Silence. The Resolute drifted. Then, space bent. Not exploded. Bent. Sensors screamed across the alien ships. What is that distortion? Shouted a Karth officer. The Resolute vanished. Not jumped. Vanished. Moments later, alarms blared as one cruiser lost power completely. Its systems shut down in perfect sequence. Weapons. Shields. Life support. The ship went dark. Impossible. Veiltroen roared. No known weapon. Another cruiser followed. Then another. The Resolute reappeared behind the fleet. Untouched. Silent. Captain Chen spoke calmly. Begin Phase 2. From the human ship, invisible signals spread like whispers through the void. Alien computers, built on rigid logic, began to fail. Human code was not rigid. It was adaptive. Learning. Evolving. The conclave fleet was helpless in under 3 minutes. Chen allowed herself one breath. This, she said, is why they should have listened. Far away in the conclave chamber, emergency alerts shattered the laughter. Veiltroen stared at the data in horror. One ship, he whispered. And for the first time in galactic history, the galaxy stopped laughing. The conclave had survived wars, plagues, and supernovae. It had never faced embarrassment. News of the Helios incident spread across the stars in less than a day. 6 conclave warships disabled. No casualties. No debris. No explanation. And one human ship still sitting calmly in neutral space. Emergency session was called. Alien leaders shouted, hissed, and flared their bioluminescent crests. This is deception, cried the Lord Speaker. Humans are hiding forbidden technology. Veiltroen slammed his claw into the air. They hacked our fleets without firing a shot. This is warfare beyond treaties. A quiet voice cut through the chaos. We warned you. All eyes turned. Commander Elias Rowe stood again at the center floor. The Resolute acted in self-defense, he said. We asked for passage. You threatened annihilation. Admiral Zell's voice trembled. That weapon you used, it violates known physics. Ro nodded. Yes. Silence fell. You see, Ro continued, humans never had the strongest ships. Or the biggest fleets. We learned early that we would lose those races. He looked up at the towering council. So we raced differently. Holograms appeared. Human history. Wars. Losses. Adaptation. Where others evolved naturally, Ro said, we engineered ourselves culturally. Strategically. Mentally. Vilduin narrowed his eyes. You are saying this was planned. Ro smiled faintly. Everything was. In the void the Resolute moved again. Not away. Deeper. Toward Karth Dominion space. Captain Chin watched the star map. They're mobilizing, her XO warned. Multiple species. This could turn into a coalition war. Chin nodded. Good. She opened a channel. All hands, she said calmly. We are about to teach the galaxy something important. The crew straightened. What lesson, Captain? Chen's voice hardened. That humans never fight fair. The first alien counterattack came near the world of Terralise. A ringed ocean planet, neutral ground. 23 ships dropped from hyperspace. They surrounded the Resolute. This is High Marshal Rin Corps, a booming voice echoed. Human vessel, surrender. You cannot win. Chen leaned forward. Who says we're trying to win? She gestured. Deploy mirrors. Space filled with glimmering shapes. Not weapons. Reflections. The alien fleet fired. Energy beams split, refracted, bent back upon themselves. Chaos erupted. 2 ships collided. Another cooked itself under its own reflected fire. The Resolute slipped through the confusion like a ghost. From orbit, Terralise watched. Its citizens recorded the battle. For the first time, alien civilians saw humans not as weak newcomers, but as predators who hid their teeth. Back in the conclave, panic set in. Trade routes closed. Alliances fractured. Some species called for extermination. Others whispered a new word. Appeasement. Vilduin watched footage of the battle, trembling. They fight like chaos given purpose, he muttered. Ro stood beside him now, uninvited. You misunderstand, Ro said. We don't fight like chaos. He met the strategist's gaze. We fight like survivors. And the galaxy realized something far worse than fear. Humans were not angry. They were calm. And that made them dangerous. The galaxy united the way it always did when afraid. With overwhelming force. A grand suppression fleet was assembled. 100 warships. 5 species. 3 dread carriers. Their target, the Resolute. The trap was set in the Ashen Belt, a dead star region where sensors failed and gravity twisted space. Perfect for an ambush. High Marshal Rin Corps watched his fleet deploy. This ends today, he growled. No species survives defiance alone. The Resolute entered the belt on schedule. Alone. Outnumbered. Surrounded. Human ship, Rin Corps broadcast, you are boxed in. Surrender now. Captain Chin closed her eyes briefly. Status. Phase 3 ready, her engineer replied. Chin smiled. Broadcast to all fleets. Her face appeared on every alien screen. You think you trapped us, she said calmly. But humans never enter a battlefield they haven't already mapped. She snapped her fingers. The Ashen Belt woke up. Hidden devices activated across kilometers of space. Not mines. Anchors. Gravity anchors. Local space folded. The massive alien fleet struggled as formations broke. Ships drifted, slammed, twisted. What is happening? Rin Corps roared. Chin leaned back. You built your ships to overpower space, she said. We learned how to weaponize it. The Resolute surged forward. Not attacking ships. Attacking command nodes. Cutting coordination. Turning allies into obstacles. Alien crews panicked. Human crew adapted. They rerouted systems mid-battle. Rewrote code on the fly. Took risks no AI would allow. Damage report. Chin shouted. Severe, her XO answered. But manageable. A dread carrier loomed ahead. Its weapons charged. Chin whispered, do it? The Resolute powered every system into a single point. Not a beam. A question. Human AI flooded the carrier's network. It did not attack. It asked, why do you exist? Who commands you? What happens if they are wrong? The alien ship hesitated. Just long enough. Its weapons powered down. Rin Corps stared in disbelief. They convinced it? Chin opened a channel. War is not about destruction, she said. It's about decisions. The dread carrier turned. and fired on its own fleet. The battle ended in silence. Hours later, wreckage drifted. The Resolute burned, scarred but alive. Chin stood on the bridge, exhausted. "We won," someone whispered. Chin shook her head. "No," she said. "Now they understand." In the conclave chamber, leaders watched the aftermath. No cheers. Only dread. Veiled Erwan spoke quietly. "We underestimated them." Rose stood beside him again. "Yes," he agreed. "And we are still holding back." That was when fear turned into something worse. Respect. After the Ashen Belt, the galaxy changed its tone. No more insults. No more laughter. Now there were questions. How did they plan this? What are they hiding? What happens if they stop holding back? The conclave demanded answers. So humanity gave them history. Commander Rowe addressed the council. "You think our strength is our weapons," he said. "It isn't." Images appeared. Human children learning under pressure. Human wars fought without certainty. Human failures. "We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us daily," Rowe continued. "Storms. Disease. Scarcity." He looked around. "You evolved in stability." Silence. "That is why your strategies are rigid," he said. "And ours are flexible." Vilderwen finally spoke. "What do you want?" Rowe did not hesitate. "A seat." Gasps echoed. "Not as a client species," Rowe added, "but as equals." The vote was delayed. The galaxy needed time. Time humans used wisely. The Resolute was repaired mid-flight. Human engineers laughed while working. "They still think we're alone," one said. Chin nodded. "Let them." A new signal appeared on sensors. Unknown origin. Unknown design. Not alien. Human. Captain Chen's breath caught. "Fleet command." The screen lit up. Hundreds of human ships emerged from folded space. Slick. Modular. Silent. The galaxy had only ever seen one. And that was by design. Chin smiled. "Humanity has arrived," she whispered. The final confrontation loomed. Not war. Just. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humans were not weak. They were patient. And patience, wielded correctly, was the deadliest weapon of all. Fear does not always lead to wisdom. Sometimes, it leads to desperation. A secret faction within the conclave activated the Starbreaker Array. An ancient superweapon. Its purpose was simple. Erase Earth. "If we cut the head," Veldrin whispered in horror, "the body dies." Rowe turned sharply. "You do this," he warned, "and there will be no forgiveness." The weapon charged anyway. Human fleets moved. Fast. Not toward Earth. Toward the array. Captain Chen led the spearhead. "This is it," she said. "No more restraint." The battle was brutal. Alien weapons tore ships apart. Human ships adapted in seconds. Sacrifice. Maneuver. Counterstrike. Chen's ship took a direct hit. Alarm screamed. "Captain. Hold the line." Chen shouted. The Resolute rammed the array's core. Not to destroy it. To override it. Human engineers uploaded the final code. The weapon shut down. Permanently. Chen collapsed. Breathing. Alive. Rowe addressed the conclave one last time. "You tried to kill our home," he said quietly. "We could end you." The chamber waited for death. Rowe continued. "But humans choose something harder." He looked at them. "We choose coexistence." The galaxy bowed. Not in fear, but in understanding. The galaxy did not celebrate. It mourned. The firing of the Starbreaker had shaken reality itself. Even though the beam had been redirected into empty space, the echo of its power rippled across hyperspace lanes and ancient sensor nets. Entire civilizations felt it, like a distant scream carried through the stars. A weapon capable of killing everything had existed. And humanity had stopped it. That truth settled slowly, painfully across the galaxy. In the days that followed, fleets returned to their home systems in silence. No victory songs were sung. No banners raised. The stars felt heavier now. The HSS Resolute was towed into a quiet orbit above Earth. Its hull was torn open in places, engines scorched, internal decks sealed forever. Engineers said it should not have survived. Captain Mira Chen stood in a medical bay, her arm wrapped in synth fabric, staring at the ceiling. "You died for 3 seconds," the doctor told her gently. Chen exhaled. "Figures," she murmured. When she was finally cleared to stand, she walked alone to the observation window. Earth filled the glass, blue and alive. "We were that close," she whispered. The conclave reconvened under emergency law. Not as rulers. as defendants. For the first time in galactic history, the chamber lights were dimmed in humility. No floating thrones. No towering platforms. All delegates stood on equal ground. In the center of the chamber, bound in energy restraints, stood High Marshal Rincor. He looked smaller now. Commander Elias Rowe stood opposite him, calm but visibly tired. The ancient speaker addressed the assembly. The activation of the Starbreaker violated every law we have ever written, it said, and nearly ended all life. Rincor lifted his head. I did what was necessary, he growled. Humans are an extinction-level threat. Rowe spoke quietly. And yet, he said, we chose not to be. The chamber fell silent. Velderin stepped forward, his voice heavy with shame. We misjudged humanity, he admitted. We saw clever animals, not a thinking civilization shaped by struggle. He turned to Rowe. You could have ended us after the array was captured. Rowe nodded. Yes. Why didn't you? Velderin asked. Rowe did not answer immediately. When he spoke, his voice was steady. Because power without restraint is not strength, he said. It is fear pretending to be control. Those words spread far beyond the chamber. They were replayed on thousands of worlds. Rincor was sentenced to permanent exile beyond known space. Not execution. Not imprisonment. Exile. A human decision. You let him live? One delegate asked in disbelief. Rowe met their gaze. Letting someone live with their failure is sometimes the hardest punishment. Across the galaxy, changes began. Old hierarchies cracked. Client species demanded voices. Military doctrines were rewritten. Because everyone had learned the same lesson. Technology could be matched. Numbers could be overcome. But adaptability and restraint together were unstoppable. A private meeting was held soon after. Only a few were invited. Captain Chin still weak but standing. Commander Rowe. Veltirwa. The ancient speaker. You are Apex, the speaker said at last. Not by conquest but by capability. Rowe nodded. That is a dangerous position, he replied. Yes, the speaker agreed. Which is why we fear you. Chin stepped forward. Then let us be clear, she said. The room turned to her. We do not want to rule the galaxy, Chin continued. We want it stable enough that no one ever feels forced to build a Starbreaker again. Velderin bowed his head. The conclave no longer deserves its old form, he said. It must change. Rowe looked at the speaker. And humanity? He asked. The ancient being studied him for a long moment. Humanity will not be given a seat, it said. Silence. It will be given a responsibility. The announcement shook the stars. The conclave would be reformed. Not as an empire, but as a council of equals. Humanity would serve as strategic balancer. Not rulers. Not police. The final voice when extinction-level decisions were proposed. Some species protested. Most remembered the Starbreaker. And fell silent. Captain Chin returned to the Resolute one last time. The ship was being preserved, not scrapped. A monument. She placed her hand on the scorched hull. One ship, she said softly. So many choices. Rowe stood beside her. You didn't just save Earth, he said. You changed how the galaxy thinks. Chin smiled faintly. Let's hope it was enough. Across the stars, children of 100 species began learning a new history. Not about who conquered whom, but about the day the galaxy learned what true power looked like. It was not a weapon. It was a choice. And humanity had proven something no empire ever had before. That the apex species was not the one that destroyed the universe, but the one strong enough to stop itself from doing so. The galaxy had changed forever. Not with banners or parades. Not with monuments to conquest, but with quiet understanding. Every species, from the smallest mining colony to the oldest empire, knew one simple truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. The HSS Resolute orbited Earth like a silent guardian. Its hull bore the scars of battles that could have ended all life. Engineers had patched it as best they could. Some decks were sealed forever. Its systems hummed faintly, a reminder of human ingenuity and resilience. Captain Mira Chin stood on the bridge, looking out at the planet below. Oceans shimmered under the sunlight, continents spread in perfect imperfection. She felt the weight of all that had happened, the destruction that nearly was, the countless choices that had been made, and the burden of being the species the galaxy now both feared and respected. Commander Elias Rowe joined her silently. You realize what you've done? He asked. Chin turned, expression tired but calm. We didn't just survive, Elias. We made the galaxy reconsider what it means to survive. Ro nodded. They'll never see another species the same way again. They'll measure themselves against us. And they'll know, restraint can be stronger than aggression. The conclave had been reformed. Gone were the rigid hierarchies and the pedestals of power. In their place rose the Galactic Council, a coalition of equals where every species, large and small, had a voice. And humanity was there, not as rulers, not as enforcers, but as the strategic balancer. Ro addressed the first council session in full view of the galaxy. His voice carried across thousands of communication networks, in hundreds of languages, both spoken and encoded. Humanity was tested when the galaxy sought to destroy us, he said. We could have ended those who threatened us. We chose not to. Not because we were weak, but because strength is measured by choice, not by power. We are here to ensure that no one else faces the choice we almost did. A hush fell over the assembly. Even the oldest species, veterans of countless wars, recognized the truth in his words. Humanity had not only survived, they had rewritten the rules of galactic politics. Back on Earth, celebrations were subtle. Humans did not raise flags of conquest. They celebrated survival. They celebrated ingenuity. They celebrated the courage to decide, under impossible pressure, to spare life instead of taking it. Children looked up at the stars with new wonder. Scientists and engineers, inspired by the Resolute's tactics and technology, built faster ships, smarter AI, and advanced systems, not for war but for exploration and defense. Humanity had proven itself capable of the apex position, but they wielded it responsibly. The first official visit of aliens to Earth was a quiet affair. Not armies but delegates of curiosity and respect. Veldroin arrived, older, wiser, humbled by what he had witnessed. You saved the galaxy, he said quietly to Ro. Ro shook his head. We didn't save it for them. We saved it because it had to survive. And because we are the ones who had to live in it. Chin approached Veldroin. You now know what we are capable of, she said. Do not mistake patience for weakness. Veldroin bowed slightly. I understand. And I will remember. Time passed. The stars healed, trade resumed, alliances solidified. Humanity became known as the species that could outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver the entire galaxy. Their ships, still scarred, became symbols of caution and inspiration. And the Resolute, now permanently preserved in orbit, became a monument, not to conquest but to choice, to courage, and to the calculated patience that made humans apex. Children across the galaxy learned of it. Teachers in alien schools told the story not to inspire fear, but admiration. Humans were underestimated for centuries, yet they had proven that intelligence, adaptability, and restraint could outmatch brute force, overwhelming technology, and centuries of assumed superiority. Captain Chin stood once more on the bridge of the Resolute years later. The ship was older, slower but alive, like her. She looked out at the stars. Every flicker of light was a reminder of the countless lives saved, the systems preserved, the choices made under impossible odds. Ro joined her quietly. Do you ever wonder if they'll underestimate us again? Chin smiled faintly. They might. And if they do, we'll be ready. Ro looked out at the galaxy. It's remarkable, isn't it? How one species, one small planet, one ship, can change the course of everything. Chin nodded. Against all odds, we became more than survival. We became legend. And the galaxy listened. Because now, every civilization knew, when humans speak softly, it is already too late to underestimate them. When humans act, the stars themselves bend to the consequence of their choices. The HSS Resolute drifted silently above Earth. A single ship. Scars of war etched across its hull. Witness to destruction avoided, battles survived, and lessons taught. Against all odds, humanity had arrived. And the universe would never make the mistake of thinking otherwise again.